day at Microsoft as a cloud and AI solution architect. Very excited. I didn't sleep the whole last night, but it was in a way or another because I was extremely excited to live my life. So I cannot wait to be there. I'm now going to eat something, finish getting ready, and then jump into the train and get there. Like ready. I don't yet have my laptop because I'm going to get it today. So basically all I have is my glasses, an agenda, and a bottle of water. And of course because we are in Amsterdam, I have an umbrella. But pretty much that's it. The first day is done and it was quite an exciting day in the sense of how many people I met. But also in another sense it was a bit exhausting because we were like all struggling to get access into our own laptops. But let's start with one thing that I didn't expect, and it was quite fun to see when I got there, was that we got a lot of stuff as interns. One was like this huge backpack, so it was fun to see, and then we got our new laptop. I think the biggest challenge for me for this internship will definitely be to get back into doing stuff on Windows. I've been using Apple for more than 6 years now, and to get back into this would be definitely one of my biggest challenges. I already saw some changes that I need to get used to it, but definitely is able to do it. I also love it in this color because I know they have different colors, and when I saw all of them I was like, I really love this one. Button with, of course, Microsoft, and another one that I'm really excited. I really love that it's like not heavy. That's outside. Which is also great stuff. And then it's like the type of headphone that you usually use during the course. Basically, I think if you look at all the movies, they have these ones, and you have the small microphone. I think it's quite exciting because I feel like it's like some cool stuff that I probably did expect to get something, but not in my first day because the more you know is all more worth it. Now let's get into how actually was my first day at Microsoft and cloud solution architect. So for the first day, nothing big happened. It was mostly meeting people, trying to understand the flows, and of course trying to set up this amazing laptop, which took way more than I expected. In a way or another, a fun process, but we'll get to that. So the first thing that I did, of course, was meeting my manager to show me around the company a bit, like trying to explain how the layout is, where you can see it. It's pretty much a stay where you want layout, so it wasn't that big of a deal, but it was interesting to understand everything. And then we went to get a coffee, just talked a bit, trying to know each other because we're going to collaborate for quite a long time. So it was nice to meet him, and I just jumped into trying to get my laptop and then trying to set up. I think the thing that, even though it was an annoying process, was extremely good was the fact that there was like a huge table with all the interns. We are like around 20 each, and all of us were struggling to get inside our access and like the password and everything. And even though it was a struggle, the fact that we were all trying to figure it out, there was like not even like a ice that needed to be break because everyone was like just screaming if they managed to do something, or everyone was like, did you manage to do that? And we were trying to help each other, and I think in that way we managed to bond, which I think is great because when you're starting a new internship, you're usually very new, you don't have any clue what's happening, so it's very cool to have like an intern cohort and like go to the struggle together. I also got very lucky that another new person that is going to join my team, but she has a full-time, also started today, and then we bonded each other even more, alongside the fact that she's also from Romania. And I think it was a fun experience, and also I think I made some friends with it, but that's my impression at least. And then for the final part of the day, I just had another amazing meeting with my manager where we're trying to discuss what do I expect from this internship, what I would like to do for my thesis, because in the end I decided to do my thesis with Microsoft. I know I was like a bit bounded between different ideas and working in different directions, but I decided that for the first time in my whole life I would choose an easier option, which is to do only this internship, which is going to be also my thesis. So we just discussed a bit about the goal setting, how I'm setting up everything, the onboarding part, and pretty much what's going to happen this week. As expected, everything is a bit hectic. We do not have any clear goals, tasks. Everything is just trying to figure it out, and also meeting some people and trying to find who is going to be my coach for the next session. Because one thing that I learned from other people that are working there is that Microsoft is not something that you're going there and they're giving you piece task, but it's most something that you need to go there and find your own work. Find the problem that needs to be solved, find a spot that will manage to get your help. So what I'm going to do or try to do is shadow some people, try to understand how everything works out, and then choose something I will just do. I don't know how everything will shape out. I think also my manager was saying that the first 2 weeks is going to be a bit hectic and maybe a bit confusing, but that's okay because in the end I think the whole scope of this is to learn more, and usually I do believe that from unknown the most you going to learn. So we're going to get into it and see how it is.
There's a power in watching you. Now every other day I'm watching you.
Now let's get started for the second day of my internship at Microsoft. Pretty much what's going to happen today is like this side, do my onboarding, meet up with other interns and do a lot of coffee chats. Sounds like a pretty easy day, which kind of is, because like right now we're just trying to onboard and get to do what actually we need to do. We are back from day 2 of my internship at Microsoft, and it's been a long day. To be honest, we started the day with a bit of a challenge because when I got to the office, even though yesterday I managed to get into my card, I realized that I cannot log in the sense that for some reason my password didn't work anymore. So we started again with the full journey of how to get into the laptop 101. She missed half of the meeting for my onboarding with the HR, but good for me, it was recorded, so I still have the information. But yeah, it's been a challenge. And then and afterwards we just had the onboarding from HR, which was like more on the logistical side, trying to understand everything. I'm not gonna bore you with what happened there, just any preparation HR things. And then I finally managed to get my badge. Here it is. An amazing gray badge with my picture. I absolutely love this one. It's like color with Microsoft logo. I just love badges usually, and I just love wearing them on my neck all the time because it makes me feel important in a way or another. But yeah, and then it was lunch with Intern. We had just had some chit chat, and then we went back into actually starting to do some work. As I mentioned, if you ever followed my 1% one more routine, my top 3 was create an info slide on myself for my meeting for Thursday. Then I needed to do my onboarding classes. It's like there were a lot of courses into ethics, AI regulation, how do we make sure that we're actually building on trust and responsible AI, which at first I thought it would be just like the usual onboarding things, but when I got to it I was like, okay, this actually makes sense, it actually explains a lot. We were joking with the interns that one of the learnings was like a full TV series with 4 episodes, a lot of drama going on, but we actually enjoyed a lot watching it, and I think it was the one that all of us watched and were like, oh wait, I'm actually interested to see what's going on. So a great way to do learnings. So big companies take notes from Microsoft because they know what they're doing. And then after doing a lot of onboardings, just basically the whole day, I realized that on an amazing Friday we have a hackathon going on, and I built a lot of hackathons. If you know me from my non-profit in Romania, and also when I was doing my volunteer work at AI, so a lot happened there. So I was like, oh okay, maybe I can help with my already knowledge and business things. So I texted my manager being like, oh, can I help in any way to organize this hackathon? I know I'm new and maybe I don't know so much on what's going on, but I would love to help with that. And as I always say, if you ask, yes, I managed to get inside the organization team, and now I'm looking over some documentation of how everything is set up, how the GitHub looks, if everything is explained good, and pretty much trying to say my opinion based on what I see there. I didn't manage to have a full look yet because I was waiting for the GitHub access, but 100% tomorrow will be my to-do in a way or another, because tomorrow is the last day to put your opinion up there. And of course, in the day of the hackathon, I will have with alongside me participating. I will be a double role as always because I like to do multiple things. And then we had a great part with a lot of coffee chats with other interns where we just talk about what we're assuming we're going to do, what we like to do, with who we already meet in order to like know that they're still from each other working for what we have, because we're still at the beginning, everything is chaotic, we don't really understand what's going on, which is totally normal. I think that was one of the lessons that I got from this day. It's normal to be chaotic, to don't understand what's going on, and it's normal to ask for help. And also, if you have other interns, just talk with them and maybe you can help each other. And I think pretty much that was my whole day. So day 3 is done, and let's get into what happened in Intern. I will call it my onboarding day because it was full from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. of different meetings on everyone onboarding, from meeting the executive assistant to trying to understand what is the culture at Microsoft, and then getting into how to contact people, who is looking to work what, hierarchy of this, understand of this, what's going on there, and of course the office hours, so we know where to go all the time we have meetings. So pretty much it was a full day for us. It was a bit tiring in a way or another, because when you're in a meeting that you don't have a contribution and you're back to it, it's a lot happening and we're like at the end of it all tired. But it was very cool to be able to see everything and understand better the culture and also the Microsoft mission, which is pretty much that our mission is to empower every person and every company to get better. I do love that mission, and I love how much they put the pressure on responsibility, security, which I think is very important, having in mind with what they're working on. And then one of my favorite parts from the thing was to actually have a tour of the innovation lab. We are lucky now that in Netherlands we have one of the innovation labs. I think there are 14 of them in the world, and one of them is here. And it's so incredible to just go and try to understand all the missions Microsoft participated in, and then actually getting into what was the solution they did. Also, they had like a lot of different markets like representing the solution, and it was just such an interesting story from how they went into the water pollution and how the solution was there to healthcare and even to shops. It was very interesting to just see everything and be able to understand how our partner works on these ideas. So basically, if they have a good business case on a problem, and then we see that that problem is kind of a pattern and we can help by pretty much getting into it. So it was very interesting to just see all the innovation. I also knew afterwards that you can do a training and also be part of the innovation lab, which I will definitely do. So it was just all in one, very interesting. And then at the end of the day, I just stood with 2 of my intern colleagues to try to understand what's going on the Hackathon department, to try to give some feedback if there is something, and just go through all the documentation for it. Finally, day 4 of my internship at Microsoft. I'm very curious about how today is going to be. This is the day that is more focused on the business perspective. But I'm meeting my whole team because we have 1 hour team meeting where I'm finding out about everyone was working on, what's the progress that they did. Day 4 fully completed. It was a full day, a lot happened, so let's get into it. So for the first, I met up at 9 with my manager a bit to set up my goals and what I'm going to work on one side for my thesis, but also to help in a way or another company. So we're trying to pretty much combine the hybrid intelligence thing that I'm working right now with what I can do at Microsoft. We talked about it, then I had a meeting with my intern buddy to just go a bit through some advice, some tips, because she already managed to get a contra offer, so I'm trying to learn as much as I can from her, and also get some beginner tips on like what certificate should I do and how to set up the meeting with everything around it. Then I had a team meeting with literally everyone from my team, and it was like a great way to meet everyone, try to understand who is working on what, who is the expert on what, and also their types of working. And after that, the whole day was like mostly onboarding. I finally managed to finish my whole onboarding because after I thought I finished, some new videos came up. And then I was starting my certificate. There is an AI fundamental certificate from Azure, so I'm going to get into that one because I feel like for me that would be the easiest one at the beginning to get. And in parallel, I also started writing my report for the proposal of the whole project, in order to discuss better with my manager my idea and be ready to go when we have the meeting and need to like explain everything without actually visualization of the diagram and also a bit of explanation. And during the day I got a random message from one of the people at Microsoft. I don't want to join a 4-course dinner paid by Microsoft. So I was like, why not, even though I didn't know who is going to come. And it was a great choice because it was like with the old interns batch, which still have 1 month, and also other people that like support them in their early career. So it was like a very fun end of the night where we had drinks, eat good food, and talked a lot about different things. And the last day of my first week at Microsoft, it's done, and it was a full day of Hackathon where we had a team and we made groups with people that we don't know and create different solutions. So the main theme of the event was Valentine's Day, and our client was Cupidon, and we tried to help him create a solution to spread the love around. So I given some data sets and also some more information in the sense of like ideas on how to solve this, but we wrapped our hands and we come out with something that I managed to have like a really amazing diversity from with people from different departments, from the co-pilot, from the AI implementation and other categories, and we managed to put our minds together and create a solution where somewhere or another you're putting your love stories to some questions, and we transform that story into a full playlist on Spotify so that the lyrics of the song are able to say your story for you, alongside with also sending some specific messages to and also talking. So it was like a full service that transformed Valentine's Day in a full experience. And my favorite part was of course presenting, as always. I just love the publication and presenting ideas. So I took that role more or less, and I always presented and really love the size of actually the most unique idea. And that's being my first hackathon, also getting back a bit to my memories of how they got where I was to a hackathon but organized by Microsoft in a mission of AI. And back then I didn't want my first one to my second one, but I think it's just took me so back to that memories of me dreaming of working to this company, and now it's actually happening. So it's crazy how life is like turning around the way around. Pretty much that's what happened in that today. One thing I do want to emphasize because it was great to see during the hackathon was that we work and brains to work mistakes, because those mistakes are the steps to get success. If you didn't fail, that means that you didn't try enough and you didn't try enough. I do love that idea because I feel like we are coming from a world that we are so used to thinking about how the school system is like. It's always about how you pass and you high grades, and like with one mistake in the exam that counts a lot. But here it's like more about thinking that and being like thinking through the things and like in order to actually get the best. And the main idea is studio code, and it was amazing how in 2 hours we managed to implement the full thing. Of course, we also learned that if you vibe, you should only vibe, which pretty much means that we try to separate front end from back end, have 3 people working on different things, and then to try together to map everything, alongside with one of our colleagues who was trying to build everything just by himself. And it ended up that the person that was trying just by himself managed to finish, but we got stuck in trying to map everything after you but so that you have zero clue what's needed. So that was one thing. Another thing that I was very impressed was like how the Microsoft mindset is. Like even when we were by coding, it took 2 hours to build out the whole architecture, how stuff usually want to look like, what's the customer experience, what's the input, what's the output, how everything should look like, how the story behind it should be, and also at the same time we took a lot of time on like how the structure code, so we were talking first with the compiler to get the structure, to get the architecture step by step, and only after we took each step and implemented using it. It was a very structured thing, even though we just vibed to it. Another thing that I absolutely loved was how much